in celebration of his birthday, not Ludini's birthday, Gary Moore's birthday, the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus podcast is going to pay tribute to the amazing fretmaster himself, Gary Moore. Get ready to rock out with your talk out. It's the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. My name is Lou Lombardi, a.k.a. Ludini. I am your ringmaster, ringleader, your host, if you will, for this podcast that comes at you every week, where we pick interesting music topics. They're interesting to us.
Right.
So hopefully you like it. My attitude is always like, I'm not that much of a weirdo that if I like something, probably other people like it too, right? And so when I announced this, I got surprised people. I was surprised by how many people said, oh my God, I love Gary Moore. I'm so glad you're doing that. So very cool. It feels like kind of a niche kind of topic, but here we are. I'm a big Gary Moore fan. I know that Pittsburgh Kevin is too. And Lily's going to give us her insights as well. But anyways, you are listening to Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. Our website is LudiniRockandRollCircus.com. And if you'd like access to, oops, I just threw that on the floor. If you'd like access to some very cool stuff that become part of our private Facebook group, get access to some free downloads and things like that, go to LouLombardiMusic.com as well. Either one is good. They'll both get you there. So please check it out. Please visit our website and get signed up. Would love to have you as part of the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus family. Shout out to RockRageRadio.com. Download the app. Great music programming 24/7 with great programs like the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus, Hot Licks with Lily Six. What else? There's some other good ones on it. Where's some of the other ones, Lily?
Rocky Mountain Radio. Squatch in the Pit.
Rocky Mountain Radio.
Squatch in the Pit. Mad Dog. There's a lot of them. 24/7.
Yes, it's all
Tattoo Metal.
It's all folks like us who are like music nerds. Can't get enough of music. Love talking about music. Love listening to music. Love arguing about music. That's what we do here. So if you like what we do, you should check out RockRageRadio.com. You just download the app. It's free. It works on Android devices as well as Apple devices, and you can stream great music content 24/7. Speaking of great music content, you not only want to listen to great music, but you want to look at musicians with really awesome looking guitars, don't you? I think you do. Go to wolfscustoms.online or find Wolf's Customs on social media. Why would you want to do that? Because if you're a musician, you're going to want a custom artwork done on your musical instrument. So please check it out at Wolf's Customs. Find them on social media. Shout out to Chris Thunder Wolf Dotson for being a longtime supporter of the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. As I mentioned earlier, we have Lily V6 and we have Pittsburgh Kevin. Lily, what's up?
What is up, all?
What's been going on with you?
I had a full weekend of activities.
Fall.
I saw Obituary on Friday.
I'm sorry. Oh, you saw the band. I saw an Obituary.
With 200 stab wounds. And
oh, it's terrible. I'm so sorry.
And gruesome.
Obituary with two?
No
Wow.
wonder.
They died.
He was in the obituary column. He had
Yeah.
200 stab wounds.
And the band Gruesome.
It was pretty gruesome.
All one night. Then Saturday I went to Heinz Hall to see the Concert for Peace for the Ukrainian Humanitarian Relief,
there
which
you
was
go.
very nice. And Sunday I went
Who
and saw...
played that?
It was the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra,
Oh, cool.
which was lovely. And there was also choruses there, a youth chorus, and Duquesne chorus was there. They did a great job. It was very moving. And I hope they raised a lot of money for
Were
it.
your bowels moved?
They were not,
no.
actually, at all. But that's okay.
I believe it's in the Bible.
Wow.
And then
My bowels were moved with
Wow.
his bowels were moved with compassion. I
Oh my
believe it's in there.
goodness.
No
Well,
shit.
I don't read the
Somebody
Bible,
look that up, but go ahead.
And then on Sunday I saw Wednesday 13.
You saw on Sunday, you saw Wednesday. Lily, you had it sound to me like you had very upsetting weekend. I'm very
Yeah.
sorry
No, it
for
was a
you.
fantastic
I'm glad
weekend.
you're here. We
Holy
could cheer you up.
cow. I'm glad you're still
You saw
around.
Wednesday on Sunday, and then in the obituary there were 10,000.
There was a
stab
gruesome
wounds.
sight of 200 stab wounds. Stab
Yeah.
wounds.
Wow.
No, it was a good weekend for music for me.
Wow.
All across the board.
Well, I am very happy for you. My one of my bands practiced Friday night. We had a super. Check this out.
Yes.
Friday was like comedy of errors.
Okay.
Like, here's what happened, guys. So this is what happens when you start the day off talking to people about politics, the world situation we're in. My friend Kathy, who comes in and helps clean my house with me, she came over and I'm always like, she listens to different podcasters and stuff than I do, so we started kind of compare
Sure.
notes
Yes.
because you don't know what really is going on.
Right.
You just have to try to put it together.
Yep.
And so we got all jazzed up about that, and I just kind of from there the whole day was like crooked, like this, all these little things
Threw
were like
everything
off. Dumb stuff went wrong. Just over one thing after another. And so I went, so that night, went to rehearsal down in what's that called? What's it? Ben Salem. That's not Ben Salem. Is that what's it called? West Virginia?
West Virginia?
Yeah.
I think so.
And the address I would put in, it kept on taking me to Wheeling. No matter what I would do, I'd put the address in, it would switch it to Wheeling.
Weird.
Oh.
It was very bizarre. So I found a place. Yeah, I know. So I pulled over and I was like, text the guys. I said, I think I might be in an alternate universe. I really did. I couldn't explain. It was crazy. And it was getting later and later and later. And I was going like, well, maybe, maybe I should just head back and just say
it's a
screw it. You know
omen.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it was an omen, like I shouldn't go.
Yeah.
But I really did. I started laughing about the whole thing and relaxing about it. And our drummer, he got on the phone with me and he talked me in. I was about 5. He lives real close. He was about 5 miles away.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, it was the same thing. Like I hung up the phone. Like, oh, I know where I am now. No. I ended up. Well, here it wasn't my fault because the sign to the road that he lives on was tore down. There had been a car
lovely.
wreck, and like nobody told
Oh,
me
my God.
that the sign wasn't there. So that's so anyway. So we had a really interesting rehearsals. Despite the fact our singer wasn't there, we played along with the recording, the actual songs through speakers, and man, that will show you all the shit you're doing wrong. And we were like, "Whoa,
Right.
that don't go like that,"
Right.
Especially in terms of like speeding up and slowing down in parts, and especially songs where there's like breaks,
Yes.
like we were doing War Pigs by Sabbath, there's that dun, dun, and it's so easy to come in late or early on the next one when you have those things like that, but. So it was a lot of fun. I'm glad we had a good rehearsal, and the rest of the week was fine. But we still don't have a name for this band. So if you'd like to name the band, please put some band names in the comments. We are looking for a band name. We're also looking for a second guitarist and or a keyboardist. So somebody would like to play like some rhythm guitar. If you sing some background vocals, it'd be even really nice. But get a hold of me, message me, and let me know. It's all covers, classic rock, 90s, some 80s, and some current-ish stuff. So that's pretty much it. Pittsburgh, Kevin, anything good happened with you? I know last week you were very sad because of the passing of Taylor Hawkins.
Yes.
And did you get any more Foo Fighter tattoos or anything?
No, I just have the one for now. But I had a weird dream last night, Lou. I had a weird dream. I dreamt that I was together with my old band again, Hemlock House. But
Hemorrhoid House.
not Hemorrhoid House. That was the band before that. Ooh, ow, ooh. But we had a new drummer.
Hemorrhoid House.
We stop that.
There's the band name.
No, it's write it down. Write it down. But we had a new drummer, and I'm introducing the new drummer to the crowd and everything. And guess who the new drummer was?
I don't know.
It was Bill Cosby,
Eat the pudding.
and it didn't go over well with the crowd.
I guess
even
not.
in my subconscious, that just did not go over well.
Didn't work.
So I don't know what caused that. I must have ate something funky. You know what I had? I think I had some pudding before I had some pudding.
In the words of Eddie Murphy, tell Bill I said, have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. Bones.
Bones is
He's
back.
been quiet the last couple
Yes,
weeks.
he has.
Well, last week we had not John Travolta, the other guy, Will Smith, in here.
What?
Yes. That's
John
very well.
Travolta.
What's the difference?
I really don't
John
know where
Travolta,
that
Will
came from.
Smith.
What
What's the
kind of
difference?
correlation is there between the two?
It's all the same to me.
Oh my gosh.
John Travolta.
John
Will Smith.
Travolta.
I think that
Mr. Carter.
I would never. I was trying to think like today we had a little. I'm not going to get into the whole thing on the podcast, but I was just thinking today about like rockers and their politics. You know what I mean? And how I don't think it has anything. Shouldn't be. And so, like then it made me think about Will Smith. I'm going like, well, if I have Will Smith DVDs, which I'm trying to think if I do, do I like throw them out now? Would I cancel him? And I'm not.
Right.
I mean, I would never do that because I don't care if I like the movie. I don't give a shit what the guy does in his personal life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
So this is not one of those things that I don't. Does stuff like that really bother you too much?
Not at all. I don't care.
I still eat pudding.
I'm gonna still watch Men in Black.
There you go.
Yeah, I still think Men in Black is good. I think of some of the other movies. It's terrible. I was like, "What, Chris?" I mean, that one about where it's like the end of the world, and there's like the weird vampires and stuff, and there's like a lion running around in New York City. What's it called?
I don't know what
Yeah,
that
Oh,
was.
I Am
yeah.
Legend.
I Am Legend.
Oh.
That was like okay. I can't think of any. Oh, the one where it's a true story where him and his son are trying to survive, and they're like homeless. They're like living in a bathroom in the bus station, and he's trying to learn how to be a stockbroker or something.
Is that Pursuit of Happiness?
Yeah,
Something
like
There
that's
you
a
go.
really good,
Yeah.
inspiring movie. I actually like some of the movies that some of the people that some of the critics hate. Like I thought Hancock was fun.
Yeah,
I like that
Hancock,
one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Well, I thought it was fun. Like I mean, a lot of people really gave him shit over that. Now, After Earth was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
I didn't
know what I
see
mean?
that
When you
one,
started
so.
describing him and his son, I'm like, no, please don't say After Earth because
they cred to crowbar.
that's not good.
They had to He had to crowbar his son into that.
Yeah, because nobody else would hire him. There, I said it.
I'm not so sure that those kids inherited. I think
talent?
the talent, or the charm. The thing about
Right.
Will is like he is so
Yes.
damn charming.
Yes.
I think he's going to charm his way out of this. I think after stuff's
see.
going to cool down. He's going to find a way to make things right with Chris Rock. We're all going to go like, hey, and maybe we'll learn a new word,
What's that?
forgiveness.
Oh boy.
Oh, he
That's-
Maybe we will
There you
learn
go.
that word, forgiveness. It would be nice if maybe this whole thing will teach people to forgive one another.
right. We're all human. We make mistakes.
Like here's the thing, man. Like I have a podcast, so you hear me say and do stupid shit all the time. But I mean, you don't know my personal life, and I have my moments. We all do, right?
Legit.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? You know what I mean? I'm not here to make excuses or anything. I'm just saying, like, let's look at it from another perspective. Let's not get ourselves still like upset about stuff.
That's right.
I don't know why I'm off on that, but anyways, God bless him. Pray for Will Smith. I hope that everything works out right for him and his wife, and maybe she would stop fucking around. I'm just kidding. I was having fun. You can't take too much of what I say
Yikes.
seriously, guys. Just relax. So we want to get into the topic, which is Gary Moore. I was for some reason just really hamstrung for a topic this week, and I'm talking to the guys, we're texting, and I thought there's something gonna like kick in, like I'm gonna find some kind of inspiration. So I looked at our topic this day in music, and it turned out it was Gary Moore's
Ah, there you go.
birthday.
And there it is.
Perfect.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Yes,
Boom, goes
ma'am.
the dynamite. It's also, and it was also a toss-up because it was also Barry Oakley's birthday, the bass player for the Allman Brothers, who died,
Oh.
and then they recorded
I'm
Eat a
not-
Peach. Let's eat a peach.
Let's eat a peach.
Not that I'm
Let's
actually
eat a peach.
super familiar with
Let's
either.
Let's eat a peach.
Okay. It wasn't. Let's eat a peach.
It was called Peaches. Millions of peaches.
Wrong one.
But no, just kidding. So it was like, we've never talked about the Allman Brothers either. But I was like, no, Gary Moore.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just decided Gary Moore.
There you go.
Gary Moore. So, Lily, are you a Gary Moore person?
I'm only a Gary Moore person because he was in the band Thin Lizzy. Other than
There
that, I
you go.
really didn't know a whole lot about him, but I like the band.
Because you
Thin Lizzy.
seemed interested when I brought the
Yeah,
topic
I mean,
up.
I relish the opportunity to learn anything about anybody in music, so there's that.
Okay, so
Except for Rush.
how do you want to?
Oh, Lily. Exactly, Bones.
Well, even Bones likes Rush.
No, he doesn't. He told me.
He told you, secretly whispered in your ear.
Yes. He did that.
So, anyways, do you have something to kind of kick us off with?
I do have a little background if you'd like that.
Yeah, let's start there.
For sure. Northern Irish musician, singer, songwriter. Over the course of his career, he played in various groups and performed an eclectic range of music, including blues, blues rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and jazz fusion. He was one of those guys that like really just experimented with kind of everything, where whatever he felt like playing is what he would go with at the time. He was influenced by Peter Green and Eric Clapton. He began his career in the late 1960s when he joined Skid Row, not that one. It was an Irish blues
Not
rock
Lily.
band.
I have it in my notes, not Lily Skid Row.
Not Lily Skid Row. Thank you. Which he released 2 albums with them. After he left the group, he joined Thin Lizzy, featuring former Skid Row bandmate and frequent collaborator Phil Lynott, of course. During his time with the group, Moore recorded several songs with them, including "Still in Love with You," which he co-wrote, and it was later included on Thin Lizzy's 4th album, Nightlife. He left Thin Lizzy in 1974. While he did enjoy his time in the band, he felt it wasn't really good for him. He started, after a few months, he started drinking and just sort of getting into the rock star lifestyle, which he didn't really want to do. During all this stuff, he like actually did some solo stuff in between that and
Right.
coming back to Thin Lizzy in 1977. They did a tour of the United States after Brian Robertson injured his hand in a bar fight. Irish guys, right?
Right?
After finishing the tour, Lynott asked Moore to join the band, and again, he said no. In 78, again, he joined the band.
Well,
And,
and they do the Black Rose album. Is
Yeah.
what you're talking about. And this is part of the problem with Gary and Thin Lizzy was that he was always coming in kind of after the fact.
Yeah.
And Phil was like, you kind of need to play the guitar parts that are recorded.
Right.
And like nobody likes that.
Yeah.
Like especially somebody like Gary Moore who has his own style
Loves-
and his
yeah.
own thing. It's very obvious, he's not going to be real satisfied like being in a tribute band.
Right? Right? Yeah.
And that was a sticking point for him. And he really, and as Lily said, he didn't like. He was concerned about Phil and Scott
drugs.
Gorham's lifestyle. They
Yeah.
were really partying hard, and But go ahead, Lily.
he finally left during mid-tour. He actually left the band for the final time because he again became fed up with the increasing drug use. It was having an effect on the performances. He said he has no regrets leaving the band, but after Lynott's death in 1986, he performed with the members of Thin Lizzy for the Self-Aid concert as a tribute to Bill
Right.
Lynott, of course. Like I said before, in between all the Thin Lizzy drama, he had a solo career in the 70s, and during that time, he actually released 18 albums, which I did not know that.
There's a lot of
Wow.
records.
There's
He
a
put out
lot of
music.
albums.
Yep.
Holy cow.
He transitioned into playing hard rock and heavy metal with varying international success. And in 1990, he returned to his roots with Still Got the Blues, which became the most successful album of his career. He continued to release new music throughout his later career, collaborating with other artists from time to time. He has influenced a lot of other musicians. I have a whole list of them. Give me a second here. Doug Aldrich, Joe Bonamassa, Vivian Campbell, Paul Gilbert, Kirk Hammett, Joe Petrucci, John Sykes, Zach Wilde, plus hundreds of others. He was a guitar virtuoso. He didn't really feel that he was, but clearly he was.
Boy, he was like a musician's musician.
Yeah.
One of those people that like, how can I put this? Like one of those artists that like, we take this kind of for granted now because of YouTube and stuff like that. There's a lot of musicians that are successful because other musicians like them.
Right.
Almost like
Right.
everybody who follows Tosin Abasi is a musician.
Exactly.
Almost everybody. Lily is not, but
No, I love Tosin.
but I know you do. But you're not a musician.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So most of the people that follow people like that are themselves. I mean, like, and so later on it became a little bit more in vogue. Like bands like Government Mule. That's an example of a band that like is they were kind of like musicians.
Right.
A
Right.
lot of people there played, even if they played were just amateurs or just played for their own enjoyment. Were there getting off on the playing. And Gary was kind of a musician like that before that was a thing.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? So so the big rock star stardom like just eluded him, unfortunately. And and we talked about this before. There's only so many slots on the radio. You know, I
Yeah,
mean, and
yeah.
there was only so many videos that MTV could play,
Exactly.
etc. Although I'm going to get into something about with Gary where I think that. In any case, we'll get on to that in a minute. But but there were people like me who were getting into guitar, and I found out who he was. I think I heard his. Oh, I know what it was. I heard his remake of "Shapes of Things," the Yardbird song.
Okay, yeah,
and that's from the album "Victims of the Future," and I was really floored by that. I thought that was just really killing it, and that song is a good vehicle for him. His voice sounds great on it. Like it's like, you know, to me he was a rock star right then. But that was, it just really, you know, he had a lot of kind of like near hit almost
Right,
things,
right.
you know what I mean?
Almost, yeah.
And he could not get along with Phil Innett's lifestyle, and Scott Gorham, same thing. They liked him. You know what I mean? It wasn't. It was that I think Gary had demons. We're gonna talk about where I think some of these demons come from. But Gary got bit by the music bug at a very young age. He was his father was a music promoter and had a club, and he asked Gary when he was a real little kid if he wanted to get up and sing a song.
Yeah, he was like
Okay.
10.
And he got up and sang, and he said, like, immediately, like, he loved the attention. He's
Yeah,
like, this is for
yeah.
me. And his dad said, you know, I'm going to get you a guitar. Do you want a guitar? Something like that. So he got him a, you know, little guitar. And he started playing. He said it didn't feel like it was work because he loved playing so much, you know. And he became very good, very fast, very young, and was one of these guys like Jimmy Page who was like out gigging professionally,
Right.
like by the time he was 15 or 16
Yeah,
years old.
yeah.
In fact, when he went to tour with not Skid Row,
Other Skid Row.
Skid Row Senior, Senior Row.
It's the new original Skid Row.
They had to ask. They went to his father and said, you know, do we have permission to take Gary out of the country?
That's so
Yeah.
Because he was a minor.
Yeah.
Right.
And his father was like, just watch after him. And I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was the drummer. It wasn't Phil Lynott. It was the drummer, I believe. Or no, it might have been Eric Bell, who went on to be in Thin Lizzy. One of them was like, they were like laughing because they were like, you know, they were barely old enough to go.
Right.
They were like, you know, it wasn't like
Yeah,
they
we'll
could be-
watch
They
'em.
weren't like going to be like authority figures.
Right. It's a bunch of kids going on tour.
Yeah, and that's a cool band. If you get a chance, I took a peek at some of the Skid Row stuff, and it's very interesting. It's real primitive, real dirty,
No
Yeah.
slave to the grind.
and you should. It's a really like wow, and you could see where Gary was kind of getting ready to go, but he really wasn't. He hadn't become the Gary Moore that we all
Right,
know
right.
at that point. But it's very interesting to see. And for you guitar nerds out there, he is playing a 57 Les Paul that somebody did well, we would consider today blasphemy to.
Yeah.
They sanded off the gold top and made it like a real kind of like very like obviously amateur sunburst
Right.
job on it.
Yeah.
But in any case, that was, you know, and they toured the United States like a couple of times. I think
Really?
like 2 or 3 albums,
Wow.
and they toured. But Gary felt like it wasn't going anywhere. Like he's like, well, he felt like they gave it the old college try,
Yeah, but
and he didn't want to. But,
Right.
And Phil had left the band. Phil Lynott was originally Skid Row was set up with like a guitar, bass, drums, and Phil was lead singer. He wasn't going to play bass. They had a bass player. But Phil left, and the bass player became the singer, etc. And Phil went and did his thing. But Gary just quit the band, and they wanted to keep going, but they were like, well, they could not find a guitar player as good as Gary Moore. And somebody even remarked it was like doing the Jimi Hendrix experience without Jimi Hendrix.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
just like, what are you doing? This is not going to work.
This is not the same.
Not at all. So he's that kind of talent. Just amazing. But yeah, he even in that early time. And what people don't realize is Thin Lizzy, that actual band is a contemporary with Led Zeppelin and the Beatles. They go back to the mid '60s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been around a long time. Really, really long time. I watched a great video on YouTube today of them playing. This is probably the last actual concert that they ever did with Phil Lynott. Phil Lynott.
I say line it.
Line
Yeah, I
it. Phil
always say
Line
line
it.
it.
Phil Line it. I'll say it that way. Then we'll agree on line it. And it's in front of the Opera House in Sydney.
Okay.
And it must be some kind of festival,
Right.
Because they play like a short set, like a 40-minute set. They play all their hits, and it is Gary Moore,
Yeah.
and it is Scott Gorham, and it is Phil Lynott.
Line
Line it. Line it.
Phil.
Lynott.
It's Phil.
Phil. It's
Hey,
Phil.
Phil.
It's
Hey, Phil.
And they just played their hits, and it was fucking awesome.
Wow.
They were vicious. They were a vicious live band. Like, you just don't realize. I think sometimes when you hear that 70s production quality,
Right,
like
right.
they were pretty.
They
They were a
really-
really aggressive live band. It was really good, putting on a great show. Scott Gorham and Peter Green. Scott Gorham and Gary Moore worked really well. It's unfortunate that they couldn't have really kept something steady going, because I think it would have been a real powerhouse. But a couple interesting tidbits, facts about Gary's early career. And I believe this was during the Skid Row years. He was him and Rory Gallagher were contemporaries of each other.
Yes, yes.
And so they played a lot of the gigs together. And because they had no money,
Right.
and only they couldn't buy strings, they would take turns leaving one of their guitars on stage for the other one in case one of them
Okay.
broke a string.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they would help each other out like
That's
that.
cool.
So so that's a kind of a cool thing. You guys don't know who Rory Gallagher is? Look him up.
Yes.
Amazing blues guitar player. And you mentioned his the influences. And Joe Bonamassa says that the Gary Moore is Europe's Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he said that he really inspired him. He says when I saw he says when I knew what I was doing, he says, and I heard Gary, I think they're gonna really like me in Europe. I think I'm gonna do okay over there.
That's yeah.
So you can getting an idea of the reach that this man had with people, just the people that reached out to him. He did become friends with one of his idols, Peter Green. Peter Green was the original guitarist for Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
The original Fleetwood Mac. Everybody thinks of Fleetwood Mac as Go Your Own Way,
Right.
and
Right, yeah.
all the Stevie Nicks stuff. But at one time, this is what Fleetwood Mac was, a blues rock band. And Peter Green, they did an awesome album. And also, Peter Green did a great album with John Mayall's Blues Breakers as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Both Eric Clapton and Peter Green came to the Blues Breakers. But Peter was a mentor to Gary. And one day told Gary, said, "Do you want my guitar?"
No.
And Gary was like,
okay.
What? And so, he just gave him his guitar and said, well, sell yours and give me a couple bucks back. And he says he gave him like £100 or something. And that was the end of that. And he was
And
like,
y'all are jealous
And he
now.
told him, he says, if you ever want it back, he'd let me know. He goes, oh, I'm never going to want it back. But Peter this is when Peter had his freak out and
Yeah.
was kind of giving away everything. And, he dropped out of life for a long time. And we've mentioned this story on a previous podcast on something else. But in any case,
Gary looked at him and said, "I don't want that guitar. The pickup's in backwards."
So and this that was true. This guitar had unique wiring. It's what gave Peter Green his unique sound. But of course, Gary had the guitar and he cherished it and everything. Interestingly enough, through circumstances, etc., money problems, etc., that guitar wound up.
Where is it now?
Kirk Hammett from
Yes.
Metallica had
Yeah.
that guitar. Greenie.
Greenie.
Guitar. Everybody calls it Greenie because of Peter Green. So, he has these connections and these reaches within the business real early. He sets a foundation. As Lily said, he's kept sort of in and out of Thin Lizzy. Doing records in
several
between.
years, yeah.
He writes this song called that becomes Parisian Walkways, And it was originally conceived of by Gary as a instrumental, and Phil loved it so much he kept on listening to it really fast, and then he wrote lyrics to it. And it's funny because, in my opinion, Gary has written Parisian Walkways at least 3 times. To my ear, it is almost the exact same chord changes. It might be in a different key as Still Got the Blues for You.
Yeah.
It's like almost, if you play them back to back, you go like,
Wait.
okay, this sounds like Parisian Walkways Part 2 or something.
Yeah.
And then I think he has another song called In Dreams or In My Dreams or something like that. And it suspiciously sounds like,
Really?
like the same.
I really
he
like
this
this.
chord
I
change.
like this chord
Yeah, he wanted to be able to
progression.
solo over that like 3 times a night. So he wrote himself 3 songs where he could do that. But yeah, he did. He finally had enough of Stinless and left for good. But would occasionally get together with Phil and they would do little things here and there. He released a song in 1985 called "Out in the Fields," which he collaborated with Phil on. Phil's in the video with him. They duet the vocals together. It had excuse me. Had an MTV release, as I said. But it's a cool track. Very cool track. It's an anti-war track. It's very cool. But it does not. It didn't really do anything.
Right.
You know, it never really,
Took off.
Yeah, it didn't really take off. It was there. People knew who he was. And around the same time, or not long after that, he also released a song, "Over the Hills and Far Away," which is not the Led Zeppelin song. Okay.
There's just so many things that are similar.
Over the
Right,
Hills
like,
and Far
hey.
Away has a kind of river dance kind of vibe going on with it. I was listening to it when Kevin came in earlier. It does have that kind of
I started doing a little jig.
Yeah.
Didn't I?
yeah, it has a kind of that Irish jig thing going on. But Phil Lynott dies in, I believe, 1987. So there's no going back to that or anything. And Gary just continued to release albums in this, as Lily was saying, this sort of like hard rock kind of thing. Like, he is a shredder. Do not
Yeah, right?
don't
Don't let that blues
don't let that
moniker
blues
thing.
fool you, man, because he can destroy the guitar as good as, if not better than, Vito Bratta or George Lynch.
He's the fret master fresh.
In my opinion, every bit as good guitar player as Red Beach. I would put him at that time. I'd put him up there with Paul Gilbert. Absolutely. The issue I think that Gary had with that genre was, I think that he needed a really good songwriting partner.
Yep.
To like flesh out the songs in a more tight way, that they would be a little more, and maybe like if he could have got a chance to work with somebody like Mutt Lange or maybe somebody like that who could have really molded what he was doing, it could have been really interesting. Unfortunately, that just didn't happen. And this, Lily, he turned down the gig with Ozzy.
I didn't know that.
Really?
That's
He was offered
interesting.
the gig with Ozzy too.
Wow.
But he probably thought, if Thin Lizzy parties,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I wonder how this will go.
Only imagine.
Yeah, I think that he was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna stop working with Phil because of drugs, and I'm gonna work with Ozzy.
Ozzy.
And,
I'm
and
the biggest-
snort ants.
I'm gonna be the biggest hypocrite that ever walked the planet.
I mean, what's worse, I guess.
So, like, the 80s are done. It's like 1989, and he kind of doesn't know what to do. And so he always loved the blues. And I've heard people say, that like kind of like try to imply that Gary is not an authentic blues musician because, he came out of heavy metal. Mm-hmm. But people don't realize, and I'm hoping we're dismissing this here, that he was a huge fan of the blues. Mm-hmm. In fact, him and I apologize, the drummer with Skid Row and Thin Lizzy would sit around and just play blues tapes to each
Yeah.
other. I mean, they were really, really into it. In fact, he turned down Skid Row initially because they said they were going to play like American West Coast pop stuff.
Right.
And he was like, no, he says, if you're not playing any blues, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So when he gets this idea, he wants to do something with the blues. He's kind of nervous. He doesn't think the record label's going to go for it, but they cut some demos and it said, well, why don't you go ahead and go with that? And it turned out to be like his big break in 1990. You know, all you know, what is it? 3 decades later or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, he has his big, and this was, it goes, and WDVE in Pittsburgh played shit out of it. It was very, very popular, and it still gets played on the Electric Lunch and things like that, and people still know who he is. They may not know the name, but, you know, younger folks know when Still Got the Blues for You comes on, they know the song, it is, etc. So this is a, and he does the right thing. He brings some guests on. Both Albert Collins and Albert King are on there, as well as George Harrison. So, and it's a very kind of modern thing, very modern kind of sounding blues album. And he doesn't really shy away from the fact that he can shred. Like there's some downright like wicked, like give Yngwie a run for his money kind of stuff, you know, on there. People and it was really well received, and this was his kind of like break into the American market. This is where he really you know, had his success, and he continued on this. He ventured away from the blues a little bit later, in the 90s and early 2000s briefly, and then he released Blues for Greenie, which was like a kind of a tribute to Peter Green,
Right.
and had got tons and tons of accolades. I thought it was nominated for a Grammy in the blues category, but I'm not seeing that. I might have it mixed up with something else. But it's very cool, Pittsburgh Kevin. You should listen to it. He has a different guitar tone on it than he does on his other blues albums. It's cleaner. It sounds more like he was actually kind of going for that kind of like blues breaker kind of tone with like Les Paul,
Right.
Marshall combo, just cranked up,
Cranked all the way up.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It has that kind of like, it's a little dry, like more drier kind of sound like that. I was really impressed with it. It's really freaking good. So. And he messed around with some other stuff. He has an album called Scars that he released as well. That's a very, really different sounding record. And there's blues on it, but there's a lot of other stuff on it. And so speaking of Scars, we need to talk about Gary's Scars. You don't know what you're looking at when you're young. You're just looking at photos of somebody. But I thought there was something going on with the left side of his face.
Okay.
I assumed it was young folks get acne. Sometimes it's bad to leave some scars.
Yes.
I assumed it was something like that. That's not what it is. This happened during, I don't know if it was Skid Row or Thin Lizzy, but he was already a professional musician.
Okay.
And he was in a bar with his girlfriend, and there were guys in there that started making remarks about his girlfriend, and so he had to defend her honor. And one of the guys broke a beer bottle and cut his face.
Wow.
Well, that's just
Lashed
rude.
his face.
Lovely.
Eric Bell said that Gary opened up to him about this, and Eric Bell was the guitarist who left. There must be something about Thin Lizzy because Eric Bell left in the middle of it. Like he literally
That's it. Gone.
Listen here. Here's how Eric quit the band. I digress. I will get back to Gary Scars, but you guys got to hear the story. Now I'll tell you this. Let me finish the Scars story first. Then I'll tell you about Eric Bell.
Mid-70s is when he got the scars.
Yeah.
Right. So he has this thing happen. And Eric said that Gary opened up to him and told him that like this really made him feel terrible, that because he was a handsome kid, he was a really good looking guy, and he was terribly insecure and self-conscious about these scars. So that's why you see a lot of his photos and stuff. He's looking away.
Away.
The scars, I believe, are on his left side. He's looking off, always showing his right side, so that you can't see.
Can't see the
There's
scars.
a lot of
Oh,
photos of
interesting.
him like that,
Yeah.
or from far away.
Yeah.
Would wear his hair brushed around his face
Yeah,
a lot. And Eric said also that like he became a different person. That he became more of like sullen, moody,
Yeah. Huh.
and he did end up with a kind of reputation as a kind of pain in the ass perfectionist. Eric said another story that he went to see Gary like way later, like when he was playing the blues and he was being real successful.
Yeah.
And he went backstage. He was dressing him. He said,
Hey.
"Man, you played a great set." And basically, Gary like told him, "Well, you're an idiot because that was the worst playing that I ever did. And you don't know
Wow.
what the hell you're talking about." So he had these scars on his face from this altercation in a bar, and it really did affect him. There's a great book called Psycho-Cybernetics written by a plastic surgeon, Maxwell Maltz, and he talks about how all these different people that he worked with and how plastic surgery changed, like the way, truly changed the way they felt about themselves. Like it was like better than like 20 years of therapy.
Right. Right.
And it didn't do it
Sure,
for everybody.
sure.
Some people were like just vain.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
talks about that in the book. But there's people that had accidents and stuff, and it literally healed their like emotional wounds.
I can see that though.
In any case, Eric's story of quitting Thin Lizzy is so rock star. And I can't believe more people don't know about this. This is how he quit the band. He walked off stage in the middle of the gig and took all his amps and everything and shoved them, just threw them off the stage right into the crowd and fuck this.
Nice.
I'm done.
Wow.
This sucks. And he said the same thing, that Scott and
Phil.
Phil were such partiers that he couldn't take it. And I think too what was going on, because nobody wants to talk smack on somebody so legendary like Phil. You know what I mean?
exactly.
But Gary said that it wasn't professional. Like it was getting to the point where it wasn't professional. I.e., they were making a lot of mistakes.
Right.
On stage.
Right. Yep.
They were so partied up
Yeah.
that it was making the music suffer. And somebody like Gary Moore, especially
not gonna
after
put up
this
with that,
this
yeah.
face cutting thing.
The perfectionist.
Yeah, he was like he just was not having that. That just was not going to fly.
Man.
So could you
That's
imagine
great. Pushing all your shit.
He took his guitar through the army and all,
That's it.
fuck you, I'm out of here.
Kind of sounds like one of the times I broke up with a boyfriend and threw all my shit down the stairs. I said, I'm out.
It's crazy. Oh my god. But Gary, unfortunately, met a sad end. Do you have something about that, Lily, in your notes?
He was on a vacation in Spain, and he actually had a heart attack. I don't have the full story, I guess, if there's more than that, but I just read that it was a heart attack while he was on holiday with his wife.
Sometimes it's a heart attack.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just don't say.
It's good. Here, I'll pull it up.
They what's the line? How's it go?
Sometimes you feel like
Ooh,
you're not-
reported that his heart attack was brought on by a high level of alcohol in his body.
This is what I was gonna say.
my.
Okay.
Alcohol and pills.
Huh.
That is the that's the name of the game.
Wow.
Fame doesn't take away the pain; it just pays your bills, and you wind up on alcohol and pills.
380 milligrams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood.
That's a bit high, even for an Irishman.
So that's what, like, he drank an entire fifth in like a half an hour.
Basically, is what that
He
is. yeah.
mainlined it. He put the IV in right here.
He developed a serious drinking problem during the last
Oh,
years of
that
his life,
sucks.
according to Mick Wall, who's a journalist.
Huh.
Wow. Well, that's just poo-poo.
Crazy. He was how 58?
Yes, 58.
Oh, he's so young.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that
For
is
us.
young.
very easily.
For us, yeah.
Still be
What,
playing.
2011? Yeah, shit, he could still be playing. He'd be 68 years. Yeah, I mean, he'd still be playing.
Oh, yeah.
Very easily. Very, very easily. Yeah, that's a lot of booze, my friend. And
He just had too much fun on
just,
vacay
that's just, yeah.
in Spain.
Lady of Spain. Gary Moore. Happy birthday, Gary. Thank you for the amazing music.
Yes.
Apparently, there was a very emotional service, funeral, and his son played. His son's a musician and played Danny Boy.
Oh,
And like there wasn't a dry eye.
I bet.
So, yeah, some great. This would be a good podcast topic. Do a podcast on Ireland's contribution to rock and roll.
Sure.
Thin Lizzy, U2, Rory Gallagher.
Cranberries.
She did
Was
too.
Van Morrison?
She croaked herself.
Van
Van
Morrison
Morrison.
was Irish, yeah. Nick. Yeah, she
Dolores Riordan.
From what I understand, was drunk in the bathtub, fell asleep, and drowned.
oh, what a way.
Yeah. But you know what? If you're Irish, what a way
Just
to
what
go.
you do.
That's just what you do.
When you're Irish, that's what you do.
I'll drink to that.
All right, you guys go ahead and drink to that. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, it's lyrics with Ludini.
Oh,
boy.
thank God.
So, I'm very interested in you guys' commentary on this. It's no Barbie Girl.
But what is?
Or Poker Face. It's a rock song.
Okay.
Classic rock song.
Okay.
And I just think that, like, with the weather getting warmer
Yeah.
and everything like that, I think it's kind of going to be kind of a fun song
Okay.
to talk
All right,
about.
then.
So I'm going to play Peace in the Valley off of my upcoming stuff, so you can check it out. We'll be back in a few minutes. Ludini Rock and Roll Circus, LudiniRockandRollCircus.com, WolfsCustoms.online, and RockRageRadio.com. See you in a few minutes.
Round the valley floor, I hear the cry of another people. Take my hand and walk through this door. I'm gonna raise you up to the top of the steeple. Trash talking, sideways walking. They do their best, practical magic, reality twisting. I'm insisting this comedy is turning tragic. Let's rewrite the script today. We want peace in the valley. For peace in the valley we pray. Give us peace in the valley. Peace in the valley today. Peace is the thing that no one wants. It's an unspoken four-letter word. My body shakes and twitches all night from every word I never heard. I need one thing to make my eyes red. With the sound of music so sweet, it's a love sign, not a battle cry. That will make the world I need. Hold me in your arms, sing to me. We want peace in the valley, the peace
many in the comments, so you must have them all.
All right, everybody. Welcome
everybody.
back to Ludini Rock and Roll Circus.
Yes. Yes. Talk about our guest that just stopped.
Now,
by.
we're going to thank Beth for stopping
Beth.
by. Thank you so much.
Brought her
She said
over.
I was talking too much shit.
Yeah.
More about Gary Moore.
That's.
No,
mean-
not you.
I mean, if you just wanted to hear about Gary Moore, you could just look it up on the internet, right?
but no, you get to hear Lou.
I mean, the reason why,
All the
like, we
interesting
talk about
stories.
is you get to hear us act like
Us.
idiots,
Yeah.
you know, while talking about it. So, so let's go ahead. We are adding new features all the time on
Oh,
the
my
Ludini Rock and
gosh,
Roll
yes, we
Circus.
are.
And
More to
we are
come.
we're doing a, I don't know what I'm going to call this segment, but after the lyrics thing, we have another segment. I'm just calling it New and Notable.
Oh,
I like it.
Ooh.
We'll come up with something.
We need to
that's-
write music
that
for our little segments. We really do.
sucks.
What?
I mean, that name sucks. We got to come up with
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
So, okay, here we go. So let's talk about lyrics. So it is lyric time
Okay.
with Ludini.
Yes.
And I thought I would take a break from the silly,
Yes.
you know,
oh, it's so
well, it was silly little pop song.
Yes.
What, Wick, I could do that song sometime.
Sure, you could.
Silly Love Songs by
Cool.
Sir.
Paul McCartney.
But since we were talking about Gary Moore
Uh-huh.
and Thin Lizzy, I thought I would do a Thin Lizzy song.
There you go. Topical.
And there is another song
Yes.
that has this exact same name.
Okay.
It's not this song at all, but it was also a big hit by the Bus Boys.
Ah, yes.
So of course we're talking about The Boys Are Back in Town.
Yes.
From the album Jailbreak.
And I do love this song.
Not the AC/DC song.
Oh, no.
It's an AC/DC
See,
song.
look, there's all kind of connections.
It's all full circle.
find it. Rock and roll collection.
I can't stand
I
you.
slurred that. Maybe let me have another beer. Hold on. Rock and roll collection.
We have
cram it.
We have Drunk Kermit.
Drunk Kermit. Okay, write that down. Drunk Kermit. That's gonna we have to do Drunk Kermit.
Drunk. Thank you, Lily. Write that down.
We have some stuff to discuss.
Wow, we do.
But before, I just want to let everybody know, thank you guys so much. Thank you for your patience.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I got into other stuff with this. I mean, I think that's
what
what
you
we
do.
tune in though for, right? To
That's
like
what
not
you
just
do.
just the information. You like
Yes.
the like the
extras.
delivery. I hope you like the delivery as well.
Get
but,
the extras on the DVD.
yes, next week
Right.
is the second week of the month, and we are
you
doing an
sure?
album. Yes, it is.
Are you sure,
And
Private Pile?
Exactly. I felt like Private Pile. A big pile of private.
Oh.
I don't even know what that means.
I have a private pile in the back here. You might want to check out.
Oh.
But
If it's brown, flesh it down. What? Yep.
That's how you should start every time you do the lyrics. Is that little
if it's brown, flush it down. And you made me completely forget what I was talking about. So
Right now,
next week,
Beth is across the street going, oh, Jesus.
the album. We're going to talk about Audio Slave.
Yes.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So Audio Slave by Audio Slave. This is their
Very
debut album. It is a really cool record. I was re-listening to it a couple weeks ago and jumped the gun.
Yeah,
just like
you
Mother
did. You was
Superior.
excited.
And I was excited.
You was excited.
So it was time to finally do it. So that's what I also have a really big podcast idea coming up in a couple of weeks that we're all going to talk about.
Nice. Okay.
So it's going to be a special thing
stay
we're
tuned.
planning for. So stay tuned for that.
All nude
So,
all the
yeah,
time.
So check all that stuff out. Okay, so let's get into the lyrics.
do it.
Today. Guess who just got back today?
Ooh.
Them wild-eyed boys that had been away.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
They haven't changed, had much to say. But man, I still think them cats are crazy. They're cray-cray.
Yes, sir.
They were asking if you were around, how you was, where you could be found.
Yeah.
I told them you were living downtown,
Yeah.
driving all the old men crazy. Lily.
This is obviously about me.
It sure is, Lily.
Boys are back in town. The boys are back in town.
Yes, they
I said
Oh.
the boys are back in town. 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 The
Where?
boys
The-
are back.
are they?
in where?
Where? Town?
All right. You know that chick that used to dance a lot?
Uh-huh.
Every night she'd be on the floor shaking what she got.
I remember.
Man, when I tell you she was cool, she was red hot.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, she was steaming.
Yes.
Not that she left a big steamer.
No.
Nah.
And that time, no. Speaking of steamers, and that time over at Johnny's place.
Oh, boy.
Well, this chick got up and she slapped Johnny's face.
Sure, he deserved it.
And we just fell about the place. If that chick don't want to know, forget it.
You said it.
I'll forget about it.
Forget about
Until he calls her again.
The boys are back in town. The boys
Yeah.
are back in town.
Yeah.
I said,
What?
what?
In the what?
Are back in town.
Oh.
The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town.
You're turning it into
Wow.
a pop song.
Wow. Soon
Soon to be covered by some pop person who Billie Eilish. That's right. Spread the word around. Guess who's back in town? You spread the word around. You.
Me.
You.
Okay.
No, you.
Oh.
No, not you. You.
You?
No,
Who,
you
me?
back there.
Me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You. Friday night, they'll be dressed to kill
Mm-hmm.
down at Dino's Bar and Grill.
Right.
Where's Dino's?
I don't know.
Let's go.
All right.
When I was a kid, I had to play this song on the piano called Dino the Dinosaur. I bet I have the sheet music.
Do you think that's where they went?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Every time I heard that, like that line in
Yeah,
the song,
you're thinking
I always think of that sheet
The
music
boys
with
are
this
down at Dino's.
down at Dino. And like Dino was the dinosaur and it was his bar.
Right.
You know.
Hi, kids.
This was way before Barney.
Everybody. Drinks around the house.
Drunk Barney.
Drunk Barney, Dino.
Okay, so anyway, so down at Dino's Bar and Grill, drunks will flow, drink will flow, and blood will spill.
Yeah.
And if the boys want to fight, you better let them.
Yes, sir.
This was one of those lines too, like this whole last verse just really, well, this whole song, like the chick getting up and slapping a guy across
Right.
the face, not like,
Sure.
like
You
just
can,
really,
you can
like-
paint the whole picture
Yeah,
of what's
like,
going on
oh,
here.
you know what I mean?
All going.
You've seen it.
And then this really made me wonder, like, you know, do people like? I guess there are
Really
people that
do?
like to fight.
Yeah.
They can't wait. They
Yeah.
want to get into fights. They
Sure.
enjoy it. That jukebox in the corner blasting out my favorite song. The nights are getting warmer. It won't be long.
No.
Won't be long till summer comes. Now that the boys are here again.
God, they're back.
And there's long instrumental, blah, 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 blah. Boys are back in town. Hey, are hanging down at Dino's. The boys are back in town. But it really does paint that picture of
Yeah.
summer. And like I remember being a kid and it's getting like towards the end of school,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and the DVE would play
Excitement.
this song and you'd be like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Time to partay.
You know what I mean? And it was like, it was a real special moment. And I feel sorry for people today that don't have that experience because that's something that we grew up with that I don't even know how to describe what a cool experience that was.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm going to do,
Yeah.
just for gigs and shitholes.
I really don't think that's how that goes.
Gigs in shitholes.
I want to do this. I'm going to pop over to our, if we can get to it,
Good luck.
song facts.
Okay.
And maybe get just
See if there's some facts.
I mean, after I sat here and goofed on the lyrics, maybe I should.
Maybe you should learn about
you were
it.
goofing?
Yeah.
What?
Okay. Written by Phil Lynott.
Okay.
Flexed in Lizzie's rough and tumble composure and working class roots. The song was a way of connecting with their fans who had similar sensibilities. I can also understand why this would be a big song for Pittsburgh.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you can just kind of tell, like, this is,
the football
We
town with the
related.
drinking problem.
yeah.
We're all about the fight and the drink.
So, all kind of drinking and everything was pivotal for Thin Lizzy, which was on their last legs when it became a hit in '72. They had a huge hit, their native Ireland, with their version of Whiskey in the Jar, but weren't able to follow it up and couldn't make a dent in America. They were in debt when to their label, Phonogram.
Phonogram.
I was like, that seems so weird, like, stupid. Like I thought that can't.
It's
be
a weird
right.
word.
Yeah.
Yep, but it is.
Like a phonogram. Is it like a hominin? Like a phonogram?
Homonym.
Okay, was ready to drop them if they didn't return from the Jailbreak album. The Boys Are Back in Town released the first single, gave them the hit they needed, and established them in America, a huge market for rock bands. With this footing, their next few albums were solid sellers, especially in the UK, and they expanded their range as a live act. So there's all kinds of stuff. Folks in Manchester, England will tell you that The Boys Are Back in Town is about the Quality Street Gang, a criminal enterprise, not unlike the Mafia. Okay. A key member of the gang was Jimmy the Weed, subject of the song Thin Lizzy's next album, Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Weed.
Jimmy the Weed.
Oh, here we go. Dino's Bar and Grill mentioned in the song is probably a real place, but which one is? It's up for debate. Dino's was a Manchester nightclub the Quality Street Gang mentioned earlier they would frequent. Dino's Lodge was a Hollywood cabaret with a Dean Martin theme.
Interesting.
Okay, and Martin was a business partner, and
Yeah.
it shows up in the opening credits of the TV series 77 Sunset Strip. Drink would flow at both establishments, but if you're looking for a place where blood would spill, that's definitely Dino's.
The first Dino's that he
The
mentioned.
first one, yeah.
Okay, it's been used in a number of television commercials, including sports for Wrangler, Chase credit cards. That's yucky, and Applebee's.
Yes, I remember that.
Oh my God.
Does drink flow and blood spill at Applebee's?
Sometimes.
If you're Ricky Bobby, remember that they go to Applebee's and it ends up in a whole thing.
Oh yeah, Everclear covered it for the film Detroit Rock City, which was a movie about Kiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Simpsons, Supernatural, Hawaii Five-0, Cougar Town, and in The Expendables, things to do before you're 30, Trojan War, and Navy SEAls.
It is in Trojan War. Oh my gosh. It's a horrible movie.
Thin Lizzy were surprised this became their breakthrough hit because they hadn't wanted it on the album. Guitarist Scott Gorham recalled to Classic Rock, "We were playing in some club in the U.S. when our manager came in and said, 'Well, it looks like we got a big hit.' We were like, 'Which song?' Seriously, we didn't have any idea at all which song it was."
Which one?
But to tell you the truth, we weren't initially going to put Boys Are Back in Town on the album. Back then, you picked 10 songs and went with those because of time restrictions of vinyl. We recorded 15, and of the 10 picked, that wasn't one of them. But then management heard this song and said, "No, there's something really good about this song," although back then it didn't yet have the twin guitar parts on it.
Oh,
legit.
really? Huh.
So, yeah, that was something, too, that they were really known for, was that twin guitar attack. Very cool. So, anyways, that's your lyrics with Ludini for today.
Nice.
Okay, so what we decided to do was we do a lot of celebrating of classic music and artists here. And we decided that we should start telling some folks about maybe some newer music
Yes.
that they might want to check out.
Sure.
Legit.
And this is going to be kind of all over the place. You know, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. Well, Lily did tell me what she's going to, but I didn't know what she was going to tell me about.
Prior to tonight.
and she doesn't know what I was going to talk about either. We just, so it's going to be all over the place. You're going to be surprised by some stuff. You're going to, some of it'll be, it's not all going to be the same thing each week. Okay. And then once Kevin gets a couple things straightened out, he's going to contribute to this
Yes,
as
I
well.
am.
So, but I feel that like as a podcast, we're kind of tastemakers, and I think we're kind of like neglecting this opportunity to get people excited about some new music if we didn't do this. So, let's go ahead with our first time doing this. New and notable. I have no idea. That sounds like something from NPR.
We'll work on that.
It's time now
on
with
New and
Terry Gross is going to talk about new and notable. Okay.
John Inskeep will be talking about new and notables today.
Ira Glass will be here in a little while as well. They all talk like this on public radio.
Yeah, they
Oh,
do.
good.
Yeah, Lou, I've noticed that, and that's really wonderful. Thank
I'm
you.
going to stab myself in the ear.
No, please don't.
Except for, I don't know if it's still on. What was it's the Soul Show. Remember the Soul Show on
Fake-
YEP?
Oh, YEP, yeah.
They had this like, person of African heritage. I don't know what the right word is. Like really like. He had a big personality.
Yeah,
He was good.
yeah, he did.
Like,
He was really good.
He was always really fun to listen to. So go ahead, Lily. What do you got?
So I'm going to talk about the band Plush.
Ooh.
I'm a fan of female-fronted bands. This one's an all-female rock band, and we don't see that too often these days. Their mission is to bring rock back to the forefront of the music industry with a new, fresh spin on sounds you already love. The band is composed of 4 young and super talented women ranging from 18 to 21. They're super young girls. The band is fronted by Mariah Formica, whose voice can be compared to Ann Wilson,
Okay.
Pat Benatar, and Amy Lee.
There you go.
Drummer Brooke Colucci, guitarist Bella Perrone, and bassist Ashley Supa round out the lineup. They have already made a name for themselves touring with Mammoth WVH last year, Evanescence, Hailstorm, Daughtry, and now touring with Seven Dust.
Wow.
So they are sort of...
I did hear that on Octane today that they are touring with Seven Dust.
And they're going to be on some festivals this year as well. I can't talk. Welcome to Rockville, Louder Than Life, and Aftershock. Mariah was actually, she auditioned for The Voice when she was 16 years old. I'm not really a fan of that whole let's audition for these like music shows on TV and then getting famous. But she definitely deserves to be in the music scene. She's fantastic. She's 4'11". She's described as a pint-sized powerhouse by Adam Levine. During the pandemic, she would actually perform weekly covers submitted by fans on YouTube, 2 of which have over 1 million views without paid promotion or sponsorship. People just love her voice. Her voice is so powerful. She sounds just like Ann Wilson when she sings any heart song. I did get the chance to speak to Bella, the guitarist, and the bassist Ashley during one of my interviews. It was super refreshing to hear that at their ages, they like music and are influenced by music that we all sort of grew up on, like Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, that sort of stuff.
Cool.
So it's very cool that they love that stuff. They have released their new single, Better Off Alone. Just came out recently. Their first single, Hate, climbed to number 24 in the Billboard mainstream, and it did continue to chart for 17 weeks. I really think these girls are going to take off to somewhere big. I'll be following them the whole time because I do love them a lot. I play them on my show all the time. They're probably in my top 5 of newer rock bands right now.
Plush, very cool. I think that they're a really cool band. When I hear about bands like them, Greta Van Fleet and bands like that, it kind of makes me wonder if rock isn't the new blues and there isn't a new blues revival kind of brewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of that. We're gonna get into this in another podcast in more detail. But yeah, very cool pick. We have talked about them on the podcast before, but please check them out. How do people find out about them?
They're mostly anywhere you can stream music right now. They don't have a full album out yet. Mostly Facebook is where you can find
and what's
them.
her name to find her cover songs?
Mariah Formica.
Mariah, but not like Mariah. And just think of like Mariah Carey, and then think of like your kitchen countertop.
Formica.
Oh, there
And
you go.
she's very adorable, and she's got such a powerful voice.
Cool.
So so check those guys. They're called Plush. Check them out. Plush. So my pick is a band that isn't super new, but they've got a record out. They've got a single out right now that's just stunning. It's just really, really big. So let me talk about the band real quick. They're called Asking Alexandria.
Oh, yeah.
Initially formed in 2006 by Ben Bruce, the band officially established as a six-piece in 2008, with the founding lineup consisting of Bruce, Warren Snup, Castles, Liddell, Joe Lancaster, and Ryan Binns. After the departure of Lancaster and Binns, as well as the recruitment of bassist Sam Betley in 2009, the band released their debut album Stand Up and Scream in 2009. The band released 2 studio albums, Reckless and Relentless in 2011, and From Death to Destiny in 2013, before the departure of Warren Sop in January 2015, replaced by Dennis Stoff, and the band released The Black in 2016. Stoff departed the band, so this is a lot of people coming and going. The band released their self-titled 5th album late in 2017. Their 6th studio album, Like a House on Fire, was released in 2020, and they put out a follow-up this past year in October of 2021 called See What's on the Inside. Now, this album has been making a splash on Octane, specifically with the songs Alone Again and the song that I want to talk about, which is Never Gonna Learn. Never Gonna Learn. I don't know. I don't even really know how to describe it. It's a good heavy rock song with this anthemic, angelic sounding kind of chorus. It's just gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. I love how the band has this like alternative rock roots. I mean, the song is a kind of like alternative type rock song with a sort of like approach that you might have with a kind of big 80s anthem. Okay. That kind of production, like super big, everything like big, giant harmonies, super wide panning with the vocals and everything like that. It's gotten some, the new album has gotten some good reviews. Kerrang, Louder Sound, and Wall of Sound all liked it. But the song is Never Gonna Learn. It is for the past few weeks has been showing up on the countdown on Octane, and it's just like it just really grabbed me. Something I would just suggest to folks real quick before we move on to This Day in Music. One of the reasons why you love your favorite music is because you heard the songs over and over and over and over. Mm-hmm. Some of your favorite songs, if you'd ever only heard one, like the radio only ever played once, you may have forgotten those songs. You may it might show up on a Deep Tracks weekend, and you're like, oh yeah, that was a good
I
song.
remember that
was
song.
a cool song.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that to say this: you have to give this newer stuff a chance. You can't just go like, it's not as good as Led Zeppelin.
Yes, but we have those types of people.
I mean, Lily isn't going like, it's not about me, crew. I'm not listening to it.
I would never say that.
What I'm saying, you're not saying exactly. You have to kind of like. So I would tell you to go check out Plush, grab a couple of the tunes, put it on one of your playlists. Get anything off this album by Asking Alexandria, but get Never Gonna Learn. Put it on your. That's I think the best one. Put that. Just throw it in your mix. Mm-hmm. And let it play along with all the songs that you like. Right. And start doing that. Because this is what you're going to discover is like a lot of stuff that you go like, some of that stuff becomes like some of your favorite shit. Mm-hmm. There's I'm going to talk about a song maybe next week by a band called Spirit Box that just like the first time I heard it, I was like, that's okay. And now I'm like, oh my God, I love that song. And I added it to my shit and I'm like, I'm playing it over and over and over. So not everything grabs you the very first time. Sometimes you kind of like need to kind of like, and you need to experience the song. I mean, the reason why we love so much this music is we have memories associated with stuff like. So give it a chance for it to become associated with some fun memories of driving around or going to dinner, hanging out with your friends or whatever. Yep. As that starts to happen, I guarantee you're going to start to change your mind a little bit about 2 days, quote unquote, 2 days music. Just a little advice from your neighborhood Ludini. So, guys, we're having a really good time here today, and we're just going to wrap up with our segment, This Day in Music, because we do that. Or This Day in something the Beatles did, right?
Right. That's usually where it goes.
Seems,
What did the Beatles do today?
Yeah.
And there is some Beatles stuff.
Oh, of course there is.
There's always a Beatles thing. The Stargazers were number one on this day in 1953.
1953.
In the UK singles charts with Broken Wings.
Not that Broken Wings.
Not that one. Yeah. In case you were wondering.
The member of the band, Fred Datchler, is the father of Clark Datchler of the 80s group Johnny Hates Jazz.
Wow.
Didn't even know.
The more you know.
Did not know that.
That's why we do this.
Elvis, on this day in 56, played the first of 2 nights in San Diego Arena, California. The police chief issued a statement saying if Elvis ever returned to the city and performed like he did, he would be arrested for disorderly conduct.
Wow. He's probably
that's awesome.
Probably swiveling those hips.
Oh, that's great. On this day in 1960, Elvis, RCA Victor Records announced that it would release all pop singles in mono and stereo simultaneously. The first record company to do so. Elvis' single "Stuck on You" was RCA's first mono/stereo release. Do you know why they still release stuff in mono?
No.
Tell me.
AM radio.
Oh.
Oh.
And there it is.
kids.
The kids don't know what that is.
The AM jams. That's what we call them. The AM jams. You got to head up after that. You'd be like, man, I can't deal with the AM jams anymore. I need to put an FM radio in my car. You remember that, Kevin?
Yeah.
You got cars that didn't have FM
Didn't
radio.
have FM radios.
That's the thing.
I remember. Yeah.
The AM jams is what we called it. The Beatles.
Yay!
The top 5 places on the U.S. singles charts. Number 5 on this day in 1964. Number 5 was Please Please Me. Number
Sure.
4 was I Want to Hold Your Hand. Number 3 was Roll Over Beethoven. Number 2 was Love Me Do. And number 1 was Can't Buy Me Love.
Wow.
In 1964.
Wow. That was before I was born.
Will You Still Need Me? Will You Still Feed Me? In 1967, the Hendrix Experience, Walker Brothers, Engelbert Humperdinck, and Cat Stevens played 2 shows at Bournemouth Winter Gardens, England. The Jimi Hendrix Experience were also the special guests on the first edition of the UK BBC TV's DD Time, along with Kiki D and Cat Stevens.
Nice.
Wow.
Kiki D.
Kiki D. Don't go breaking my heart.
I read this earlier, and I can't read this. There's some fucked up thing that happened with Van Morrison this day in 1970.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like they was said through this, they went to play some show in New York. They had to fly and get there till late. I'm really not sure why this is on here, but you can read it if you want.
Somebody wanted to
Yeah.
note it.
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot, as you can tell. These are all a little bizarre. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young went to number 1 on the U.S. album chart with Deja Vu this day in 1970. The first album which saw Neil Young joining the band. Top 40 singles that off the album were Teach Your Children, Our House, and Woodstock. Derek and the Dominoes, Layla, was on the UK singles charts this day in 1982. The re-release track originally featured on Derek and the Dominoes album Layla and other sort of love songs inspired by Clapton's then unrequited love for Patty Boyd, the wife of his friend George Harrison. Layla is considered one of rock music's definitive love songs and features an unmistakable guitar figure played by Eric Clapton and Duane Allman.
I like that you said Duane.
Wow.
Duane.
Dwayne.
Starship started a 2-week run this day in 1987 on the U.S. singles chart with Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now from the film Mannequin.
Heck yeah, one of my favorites.
Oh,
Don't even
man.
care.
Speaking of Ireland,
Yes.
U2 entered the U.S. album chart this day, number 7 with The Joshua Tree, making it the highest chart new entry in America for 7 years.
Wow. That's a mix.
Speaking of Ireland again,
Uh-huh.
this day in 1999, the Corrs album Talk on Corners went to number 1
sure.
on the UK album charts.
Sure, of course. I know them.
This day in 2007, Metallica, a Swedish couple, ran into trouble
Uh-oh.
with the authorities after trying to name their baby Metallica.
Metallica.
Oh, Metallica.
Baby Metallica.
It's a girl. Metallica.
Michael and Carolina Tamaro.
Carolina.
Carolina. Can you say Carolina? I
That's
think
how you
Carolina.
say it when it's
Carolina.
like when it's a K.
Oh, thanks, Lily.
Went to court with the country's national tax authority about naming their daughter after the rock band. 6-month-old had been baptized Metallica, but tax officials said the name was inappropriate.
Oh, come on.
Under Swedish law, both first names and usernames need to win the approval of the authorities before they can be used. That's a very weird rule.
Very strange.
Oh my God.
dumb.
Yeah. I'm not going to get into the rest of this, Jess. This is all just.
Ironically, they changed the little girl's name to Astroglide.
Wow.
You know, it wasn't as offensive.
Speaking of great guitar players, Gary Moore was not the only great guitar player. We could have done a podcast on this too.
Yeah.
That was born this day.
Yeah.
McKinley Morganfield.
Who's McKinley Morganfield? Tell me.
Muddy Waters.
Get out of here. How did I
Born
know?
you didn't know that McKinley Morganfield?
He was
I'm
born
sure
a long ass
somewhere
time
in the
ago.
back of my head I did. And you know what? He invented electricity. Yeah.
American blues musician Muddy Waters. Early 50s, Muddy Waters and his band recorded several blues classics. Hoochie Coochie Man, I'm Ready. Just Want to Make Love to You.
Yeah, baby.
The
It's all
Rolling
about
Stones
sex, apparently.
named themselves after the 1950 song Rolling Stone.
That's true.
His music influenced Eric Clapton's career, Led Zeppelin's A Whole Lot of Love, lyrically based on Muddy Waters' hit You Need Love. Waters died in his sleep from heart failure on April 30th, 1983 at the age of 70.
Blah.
Speaking of
Yes.
Irish, again!
That's
All the Irish.
There's another, it's all Irish all day long here.
You got it.
All nude all the
Yes,
time.
and Muddy Waters.
All nude all the time. That's Irish. Yeah.
Yes, Muddy Waters was Irish.
That's why there's so many kids of them.
Declan Mulligan. Oh,
Oh,
Declan.
sure.
Oh, sure, Declan Mulligan.
Here
yes.
we
I
go.
remember him.
Yes,
Sure.
yes, I met him during the Great Potato Famine.
Oh, yes.
We're so disgusted with the little people.
Down in Galway.
Why am I Irish?
Best known as a guitarist for the rock band The Beau Brummels.
The Beau Brummels.
Yeah.
The Bum Brummels.
Oh, Barry Oakley. Oakley
Sure.
from Allman Brothers.
Yeah. All right, Paceberg. Paceberg Lou.
Dave Hill with Slade.
Oh, I love
Oh,
Slade.
there you go.
I freaking love Slade.
Yeah.
So underrated.
Gary Moore, as we've talked about the whole day.
Yes.
Dave Roback, best known as the founding member of the duo Mazzy Star.
Oh.
Fade Into You. That's the only song by them I know.
That's the only song by them I know.
And this is pretty much.
Magnus Vensingen.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
the Cardigans. Love me, love
Oh,
me.
yeah, yeah.
Say that you love me. Do you know
No.
that they do on that record, the last song on that album,
Yeah.
I believe is Iron Man by Black Sabbath.
Really?
I believe. I know,
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that's what. And it's a Black Sabbath song. I don't think it's War Pigs.
Is it done like real poppy like that?
I forget.
That would be funny.
I guess we'll have to look it up.
I forget because I had to hear it, you know. And then I went like, okay, I can hear them doing it.
Okay.
It didn't sound like they were trying to make a joke
Right.
out of the song. It just sounded like
we
they
like this song.
yeah,
we
that
want to
they
do
liked
it.
The song and they
yeah.
wanted to do it. Yeah, that's what
That's cool.
it sounded like. But anyways, guys, okay.
All right.
That was This Day in Rock. This weekend, please come out to the Hard Rock Cafe Saturday night.
The HRC.
Yep, to hear two very cool tribute bands during Nirvana and Alice in Chains. We're going to be doing both of them are going to do the live MTV Unplugged thing. So come and check it out. That's this April 9th, Saturday at the Hard Rock Cafe, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So definitely want to check that out. LudiniRockandRollCircus.com as well as LouLombardiMusic.com. Lily.
My show is Hot Licks with Lily 6, Thursdays, 6 p.m. Eastern on Rock Rage Radio. You can download the app for free or go to rockrageradio.com.
What?
For
Yeah,
free?
for
That's
free.
crazy. That's total cray cray.
There's got to be a mistake. What?
Why is everybody saying cray cray today?
Cray cray. You're not cray cray.
Because it's Lou.
Thank you, Beth Petternow,
Thank you,
Aaron, Hal Aaron Cohen, Sissy Boland. Who else is on here? Robert. Robert, the Dread Pirate
Oh
Robots.
my god, I had
boy.
nobody on mine. So.
Chris Thunderwolf Dawson, Webley Lobo,
Yeah.
Facebook user.
I love that person.
We love Facebook user.
Oh, if it says I can't hear you, that's Beth on my end.
I know that's Beth. I'm just banging
I only have one on mine, which is the
and that's the loneliest number.
It is.
That is the loneliest.
Actually, zero's kind of lonely.
And Lily has Hot Licks with Lily V. You have no interviews or anything cool this week?
I
Anything
have
going on?
interviews every week. This week is Dying Light Band from New Jersey. Rock band. Awesomeness.
That.
Oh, Dying Light. I think you said Guiding Light.
No,
Guiding
not the
Light.
show.
So the Guiding Light.
Dying Light.
Oh, sorry.
That'd be like a goth soap opera.
It would.
Dying Light.
And
A
what
vampire
what's
soap
going
opera.
with the shows you're going to and stuff?
Well, I don't really think I have a whole lot coming up soon. I am going to be at Steel City Con this weekend, so if anybody's going there, come and say hello.
Holy cow. And you
There's
thought that
that.
snare drum was
And
loud.
I thought I was being nerdy here. Guess what? It's all weekend.
No, I did it wrong. It's like this.
Oh, I'm also emceeing for the Jeff Carlson Band next weekend at Kendrew's
Mr.
Lounge.
Carlson.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Mr. Carlson. Can I MC for your band, please? That would be nice.
Oh my God. I quit.
No, what? No.
That's crazy.
Oh, and Dairy Queen sent me a coupon.
All right. Well,
Nice.
thank God
There
you
you
stuck
go.
around for that.
This is where you get all the updated information.
Kevin, is there anything you'd like people to know?
I love them all. Some more than others. And you know who you are. That's about
You
it.
just mean Lou.
Shut up. Shh. I told you that in confidence.
And I tell you what, I'm just going to throw this out here real quick. See Moonfall.
Okay.
It's a fun movie. Big dumb. It's dumb. Check your brain at the door. Check your brain at the door.
Yep.
But there are no.
Yes.
I'm not gonna get specific about it, but there's no politics in it.
No boobs.
What?
There's no like social commentary.
Ooh, I like it.
There's no like. I mean, there's a little bit about be nice to the earth. type
Sure.
stuff. There's a little bit about that.
Well, that's not bad.
Because it does have this disaster element to it. But there's like, and it was like there was a scene where like there's just two people together, it's the two women together, and I guess I said to the person who's watching, I goes, oh, I guess that's her husband, and I was wrong.
Well,
It was just like the babysitter, and I was
see?
like,
It blew
I
your
was like-
mind.
I was like,
You're all
what? Like
politically
this is
correct.
revolutionary.
Yeah.
The two women aren't married. How did that happen?
It blew your
Wow.
mind right through your face.
Yes.
Anyways, guys, we love you all. Stay free, and we'll catch you all on the next Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. Goodbye.
You ain't nothing, you ain't nothing.